The missing dragon hatchlings were found, fast asleep on a human's chest. The alarm screamed through the Galactic Preservation Station at exactly 3 in the morning. Lee Taman jolted awake in his small quarters, his heart racing. He had been working at the station for only 6 months, but he knew that sound. It was the emergency alert, the one that meant something had gone terribly wrong. He pulled on his uniform and rushed into the corridor. Other researchers and staff members were already running toward the main hub. Their faces showed fear and confusion. Taman caught up with Dr. Kim Yoonji, the senior dragon behavioral specialist who had trained him. "What happened?" he asked, trying to keep pace with her quick steps. "The hatchlings," she said, her voice tight. "They're gone." Taman felt his stomach drop. The 3 celestial dragon hatchlings were the most precious creatures on the entire station. They were only 2 weeks old, the first successful births in nearly 3 years. Their species was dying out, and every single egg was a miracle. These 3 hatchlings represented hope for an entire civilization. The main observation deck was chaos. Security officers ran in every direction. Scientists shouted into their communication devices. At the center of it all stood Kyle, the station's Vorton security chief. His gray skin looked even darker than usual, and his forearms moved in sharp, angry gestures as he barked orders. "Lock down all exits," he commanded. "Check every cargo shipment. Someone took them, and they haven't left this station yet." Taman pushed through the crowd until he could see the nursery habitat through the viewing glass. The specialized enclosure was empty. The soft bedding material was disturbed, and the heat lamps glowed uselessly over the vacant space. The door to the habitat was still sealed. Nothing had been forced open. How is that possible? Someone whispered behind him. Elder Mayora arrived with 4 other members of the Theraquin delegation. The tall, elegant aliens moved with a grace that made humans look clumsy in comparison. Their silver robes shimmered as they approached the viewing glass. Elder Mayora's face, usually calm and wise, now showed something that looked like rage. "You promised our children would be safe," she said to the station commander. Her voice was quiet, but everyone nearby stopped talking to listen. "You gave your word that humanity could be trusted with our most precious treasures." Commander Park Hyun stood straight, though Taman could see the fear in his eyes. "We will find them, Elder, I swear to you." "You have 24 hours, Elder Mayora said. "If the hatchlings are not returned safely by then, the Theraquin people will end all partnerships with Earth. Your scientists will leave our space. Your people will never be permitted near our dragons again." The threat hung in the air like poison. Everyone knew what that meant. Humanity had worked for decades to earn the trust of the Theraquin. This research station was the crown jewel of Earth's diplomatic efforts. To lose it over missing hatchlings would be a disaster, but there was something worse. Outside the station, visible through the massive windows, was Silverwing. The mother of the 3 hatchlings was the largest dragon anyone had seen in centuries. She was nearly 200 meters long, with scales that shimmered like moonlight on water. Right now she was circling the station, and even through the thick walls everyone could feel her distress. Dragons were telepathic. Not in words, but in emotions. Silverwing's panic and rage washed over every living being on the station in waves. Some people were already getting headaches from it. If this went on much longer, people would start getting seriously hurt. "We need to search everywhere," Kale announced. "Every room, every storage area, every vent shaft. They're babies. They can't have gone far." Taman raised his hand hesitantly. "Sir, may I make a suggestion?" Kyle's red eyes fixed on him. "You're the junior researcher, the human who's been here less than a year. What could you possibly suggest that my trained security team hasn't already thought of?" Taman felt his face grow hot, but he pushed forward anyway. "Dragon hatchlings at this age don't follow logic. They follow instinct. They're cold-blooded in their first month, which means they need external heat sources. They wouldn't go toward cargo bays or hangar areas. Those places are cold. They'd go somewhere warm." Dr. Kim Yoonji nodded slowly. "He's right. At this age, they're driven entirely by the need for warmth and comfort. They'd seek out heat signatures." Kyle didn't look convinced, but Commander Park stepped forward. "It's a valid point. Security team, expand your search to include all areas with high heat signatures. Check the engine rooms, the environmental systems, anywhere that runs hot." The teams dispersed. Taman wanted to help search, but junior researchers weren't cleared for most areas of the station. He went back to his quarters feeling useless. He pulled up the station schematics on his data pad and started studying them. Where would 3 baby dragons go? The nursery had climate control that kept it very warm. When the hatchlings left, they would immediately feel cold. They'd want to find that warmth again as quickly as possible, but the environmental systems were in the opposite direction from where the nursery was located. The engine rooms were even farther away. His communicator buzzed. It was Dr. Kim. "Taemin, can you come to the observation deck? Silverwing is getting worse." He ran back to the main hub. Through the windows he could see Silverwing. She was no longer circling. She was hovering right next to the station, and her massive claws were gripping the outer hull. The metal groaned under her weight. "She's going to tear through the hull," someone said. "We need to evacuate this section." Elder Mayora stood at the window, her hand pressed against the glass. She can feel her children. She knows they're inside somewhere. She's trying to reach them. Taemin watched the great dragon. Her head swung back and forth, her eyes glowing with that strange inner light that all celestial dragons had. She was searching, using senses that humans couldn't understand. Then something occurred to him. He pulled up the station schematics again and overlaid them with the thermal imaging from the security scans. Most areas showed the expected heat patterns, but there was one section where the readings seemed strange. Not too hot, but consistently warm in a way that didn't match the environmental systems. The residential quarters. Specifically, the human residential quarters. "I need to check something," Taemin said to Dr. Kim. "I think I know where they might have gone." Before she could answer, Silverwing slammed her tail against the station hull. The entire structure shook. Alarms blared again. Red lights flashed throughout the corridors. "All personnel, brace for potential hull breach," the automated voice announced. "Emergency protocols are now in effect." Taemin didn't wait for permission. He ran toward the residential wing, his datapad in hand. The thermal readings were clearer now. 3 small heat signatures clustered together in one location. They weren't in a common area or a hallway. They were inside someone's private quarters. He checked the room assignment. Park Jiho, a maintenance engineer who worked the night shift. Taemin knew him only slightly. They'd shared a meal in the cafeteria once or twice. Jiho was quiet, kept to himself mostly. He'd just finished a 16-hour shift repairing some damaged conduits in the lower decks. As Taemin reached the residential wing, another shutter ran through the station. Silverwing was getting more aggressive. They were running out of time. He stood outside Jiho's door and checked his scanner one more time. The 3 heat signatures were definitely inside. They weren't moving. They were clustered together with a 4th larger heat signature. Jiho himself, presumably. Taemin's hands shook as he entered his override code. This was against protocol. He could lose his job for entering someone's private quarters without permission. But if he was right, those hatchlings were inside. If he was wrong, he'd just wake up a very confused and angry engineer for nothing. The door slid open. The room was dark. Taemin's eyes adjusted slowly. He could see the basic furniture, the small personal items that made this sterile space feel like home. And there in the sleeping alcove was a bed. He stepped closer, hardly daring to breathe. His scanner was going wild now, the readings overlapping and jumping. He activated his wrist light and pointed it at the bed. There was Park Jiho fast asleep on his back. His dark hair was messy against the pillow. His breathing was slow and even, and covering his chest and stomach, curled up like 3 puppies, were the dragon hatchlings. Their scales glowed softly in the darkness, pulsing with gentle blue and green light. Their small wings were tucked against their bodies. One of them, the smallest, had its head tucked under Jiho's chin. Another was sprawled across his stomach. The third was curled against his side. All 3 were deeply asleep, their chests rising and falling in rhythm with the human's breathing. Jiho's arm was draped protectively over the smallest hatchling. Even in sleep, Taemin stood frozen, not sure what to do. He needed to report this immediately. But moving the hatchlings might wake them and cause them to panic. And he had no idea how Jiho would react to waking up covered in baby dragons. His communicator buzzed. It was Dr. Kim again, her voice urgent. "Taemin, Silverwing just broke through the outer containment field. She's heading toward the residential wing. Whatever you're doing, you need to do it fast." Taemin looked down at the sleeping human and the 3 dragon babies curled trustingly against him. Outside, a mother dragon was coming to find her children, and she was going to tear the missing dragon hatchlings were found. Fast asleep on a human's chest, Taemin's mind raced as he stared at the impossible scene before him. 3 baby dragons, each worth more than entire planets. were sleeping peacefully on a maintenance engineer's chest. Meanwhile, their mother was literally tearing through the station's defenses to reach them. He had to make a choice, and he had to make it now. "Dr. Kim," he whispered into his communicator, trying not to wake the sleeping creatures. "I found them. They're in Park Jiho's quarters. All three of them. They're asleep on him." There was a moment of shocked silence. "What? How did they get there?" "I don't know yet, but they're safe. I need you to slow down Silverwing somehow. If she crashes through the hull here, we could lose air pressure. The hatchlings could be hurt." Another violent shudder ran through the station. Taman could hear the metal groaning. Silverwing was close now. "Very close, I'll try," Dr. Kim said. "But Taman, she's beyond reason right now. She won't stop until she sees her babies." Taman looked at the door leading to the sleeping alcove, then at the external wall. They were on the outer ring of the station. Just a few meters of metal and insulation separated this room from the vacuum of space. And from one very angry dragon mother, he made his decision. "Then we show her. There's an emergency airlock viewing port in this room. If I open the interior shutters, she'll be able to see inside. That's risky. If she damages the port, it's reinforced crystal, stronger than the hull. And if she can see her babies are safe, maybe she'll calm down." "Do it," Dr. Kim said. "I'll alert Commander Park, but Taman, be careful. We still don't know why those hatchlings chose that human. There could be something wrong with them." Taman doubted that. The hatchlings looked perfectly healthy. Their scales were bright, their breathing was steady, and their biosigns on his scanner were ideal. They weren't sick or confused. They had chosen to be here. But first he needed to wake Jiho. Very carefully. He approached the bed slowly, keeping his movement smooth. The hatchling's sensitive whiskers twitched, but they didn't wake. He reached out and gently touched Jiho's shoulder. "Jiho," he whispered. "Park Jiho, you need to wake up." The engineer stirred slightly but didn't open his eyes. His arm tightened around the smallest hatchling, pulling it closer. The baby dragon made a soft chirping sound and snuggled deeper against his chest. "Jiho," Taman tried again, a little louder. "This is important. You really need to wake up now." This time Jiho's eyes opened. For a moment he stared at the ceiling, confused. Then he started to sit up, and that's when he noticed the weight on his chest. He looked down, his eyes went wide. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. He looked at the glowing creatures covering him, then at Taman, then back at the creatures. His face went through several expressions very quickly. Fear, confusion, shock, and then a strange kind of acceptance. "Please don't move suddenly," Taman whispered. "These are the missing dragon hatchlings. They're sleeping on you. If you startle them, they might panic." Jiho's voice came out as a squeak. "Dragon hatchlings? The ones everyone is looking for? The ones that the entire station is in lockdown over?" "Yes, on my chest, yes. How?" Taman shook his head. "I was hoping you could tell me." Jiho very carefully turned his head to look at the three babies more closely. The smallest one, still tucked under his chin, opened one sleepy eye, looked at him, and then closed it again with a contented sigh. "I thought they were cats," Jiho said weakly. "When I came in after my shift, they were on my bed. I was so tired. They looked cold. They were shivering. I just got into bed and let them warm up. I didn't even think about it. I just fell asleep. You thought three glowing scaled creatures were cats. I was really tired. And it was dark. And I've been working double shifts all week." Jiho's voice was rising and the hatchlings stirred. He immediately lowered it to a whisper again. "Oh no, oh no. I kidnapped the most important babies in the galaxy. They're going to send me to prison. They're going to send me to several prisons. I'll never see Earth again." Another crash shook the room. Dust fell from the ceiling. The emergency lighting flickered on, bathing everything in red. "That's their mother," Taman said. "She's trying to reach them. I need you to stay very calm and do exactly what I tell you. Can you do that?" Jiho nodded, though his face was pale. "Is she going to kill me?" "I hope not. But we need to show her that her babies are safe." Taman moved to the wall panel and activated the emergency airlock viewing port. The interior shutters began to slide open. "When this opens, she's going to see you holding her children. Do not run. Do not scream. Just stay where you are. That's easy. I'm too scared to move." The shutters finished opening. Beyond the transparent crystal port, space stretched out in all directions. Stars glittered in the darkness, and then something massive moved into view, blocking out everything else. Silverwing's enormous eye appeared in the port. It was easily twice as tall as a human. swirling with colors that seemed to shift between silver, blue, and violet. The eye focused on the room, scanning back and forth. Then it fixed on the bed. On Jiho, on the three hatchlings. Taemin felt the wave of telepathic energy wash over him. It was so strong that his knees almost buckled. Every emotion Silverwing was feeling hit him at once. Relief, confusion, anger, more confusion, and underneath it all something that felt almost like recognition. "She's looking at me," Jiho whispered. "Why is she looking at me like that?" The smallest hatchling woke up. It lifted its head, saw its mother's eye through the port, and made a happy chirping sound. But instead of trying to go to the window, instead of trying to reach its mother, it simply snuggled back down against Jiho's chest and closed its eyes again. The second hatchling did the same thing. It woke, saw Silverwing, chirped, and then burrowed deeper against Jiho's stomach. The third hatchling didn't even fully wake. It just made a sleepy sound and draped one small wing over Jiho's arm. Taemin watched in amazement. Baby dragons were supposed to be desperate for their mother's presence. They weren't supposed to prefer anyone else. That's what all the research said. That's what every observation had shown. But these three were choosing to stay with Jiho. Silverwing made a deep, rumbling sound. The entire station vibrated with it. But it wasn't a sound of anger. Taemin had heard angry dragons before. This was different. This was almost like she was thinking, processing what she was seeing. Then the great dragon did something that shocked everyone watching through the station's external cameras. She pulled back from the hull. She stopped trying to break through. She simply hovered there, her massive eye still fixed on the viewing port, watching her children sleep peacefully against the human. Taemin's communicator came alive with voices. Commander Park, Dr. Kim, Elder Miura, and a dozen others all talking at once. Security teams were heading to Jiho's quarters. Medical teams were on standby. Everyone wanted to know what was happening. "Give us a moment," Taemin said into the communicator. "Don't come in yet. Something is happening here and I don't want to disturb it." He turned to Jiho. "How do you feel?" "Terrified. Confused. Also weirdly calm, which makes no sense. And they're very warm. It's actually kind of nice." Jiho looked down at the hatchlings. "Are they going to be okay?" When they woke up and saw their mother, they seemed happy. But then they just went back to sleep. "They feel safe with you. Safer than they would feel with anyone else right now, apparently even their own mother. That can't be normal." "It's not." The door to the quarters slid open. Elder Miura stepped in, followed by Dr. Kim and two security officers. They all stopped short when they saw the scene. Elder Miura's eyes went wide and she brought one hand to her mouth. "By the ancient stars," she whispered. "It's true. They've chosen him." "Chosen?" Jiho asked nervously. "What does that mean?" Elder Miura moved closer, her movements slow and careful. She studied the hatchlings, then looked at Jiho's face, then at the hatchlings again. "May I scan them?" "I promise I won't touch." Jiho nodded, not sure what else to do. Elder Miura pulled out a small device and passed it over each hatchling. The device hummed softly, displaying information that Taemin couldn't read from where he stood. "Their heart rates are synchronized with his," Elder Miura said quietly. "Their breathing patterns match his. Their stress hormones are at the lowest levels I've ever seen in hatchlings this young." She looked up at Jiho with an expression of wonder. "They've bonded with you. Truly bonded. Something we haven't seen in over 1,000 years. Is that bad?" Jiho asked. "Bad? No, impossible. According to everything we know, yes. But clearly not actually impossible since it's happening right now." Elder Miura straightened up. "We need to move them to the nursery. Their mother needs to feed them soon." "Wait," Dr. Kim said. She was watching Silverwing through the viewing port. "Look at her. She's not trying to take them back. It was true." Silverwing was still hovering outside, but she wasn't making any aggressive moves. She was just watching, waiting. "She knows," Elder Miura said softly. "She knows what's happened, and she's accepting it." Jiho shifted slightly, and all three hatchlings made unhappy sounds until he settled back down. "Okay, someone needs to explain what's going on. In simple terms. Because I'm just a maintenance engineer who wanted to sleep after a..." The missing dragon hatchlings were found, fast asleep on a human's chest. The room that had been quiet moments ago was now filled with people. Scientists, security officers, and medical technicians all crowded around Jiho's sleeping alcove, keeping a respectful distance but clearly fascinated by what they were seeing. Jiho sat very still on his bed, looking overwhelmed. Commander Park pushed through the crowd. His uniform was rumpled, and he looked like he hadn't slept in days. When he saw the hatchlings peacefully sleeping on Jiho, his expression shifted from stress to pure bewilderment. "Someone explain this to me," he said. "How did 3 baby dragons end up in my maintenance engineer's bed?" Timon stepped forward. "Sir, I traced the heat signatures from the nursery. The hatchlings went through a damaged ventilation shaft. The vent panel was loose." He glanced at Jiho, who looked even more embarrassed. "I filed a repair report on that panel 3 days ago," Jiho said quietly. "I was supposed to fix it yesterday, but the conduit repairs took priority. I never thought anything could fit through that gap." "The hatchlings are small enough," Dr. Kim said. She was studying the sleeping babies with her scanner. "At this age, they're very flexible. They can squeeze through spaces that look too small for them. Once they got into the ventilation system, they followed the warmest air current. That led them here." Elder Miura stood by the viewing port, looking out at Silverwing. The great dragon had moved closer again, but she wasn't trying to break through. She was just watching, her massive head tilted slightly to one side. "She's waiting," Elder Miura said. "She wants to see what we're going to do." "What can we do?" Commander Park asked. "We need to return the hatchlings to the nursery. They need specialized care, controlled temperatures, specific feeding schedules." "They need more than that," Elder Miura said, turning to face the room. "They need the bond they've formed. If we separate them from this human now, during their critical imprinting period, it could damage them psychologically. They might never properly bond with anyone again." "Are you saying we should leave them here? With Jiho?" Commander Park looked at the engineer. "No offense, but you're not trained for this. You don't know the first thing about raising dragon hatchlings." "None taken," Jiho said. "I agree completely. I don't know what I'm doing. I fix pipes and conduits. I've never even had a pet." Taman felt something stir in his chest. An idea that seemed impossible, but maybe wasn't. "What if we taught him? What if I helped?" Everyone looked at him. Dr. Kim raised an eyebrow. "Taman, what are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting we let the bond develop naturally. I'll move into Jiho's quarters temporarily. I'll teach him everything he needs to know about the hatchlings. We'll monitor them constantly. If anything goes wrong, we can intervene immediately." "That's highly irregular," Commander Park said, but he didn't sound like he was completely against the idea. Elder Miura was nodding slowly. "It might work. In the old days, before my people isolated themselves, dragons bonded with other species naturally. We had companions who helped raise our young. It was considered normal, sacred even." "That was over 1,000 years ago," one of the other Theraquin delegates said. "We don't do things that way anymore." "Perhaps we should," Elder Miura said firmly. "Our species is dying out. Traditional methods aren't working. Maybe it's time to remember the old ways." The smallest hatchling chose that moment to wake up fully. It lifted its head and looked around at all the people crowding the room. Its eyes, which were large and silver, focused on each person one by one. Then it looked up at Jiho and made a questioning chirp. Jiho, acting on pure instinct, gently stroked the hatchling's head. "It's okay, little one. These people are friends." The hatchling considered this, then apparently decided Jiho was right. It yawned, showing tiny sharp teeth, and settled back down. Within seconds, it was asleep again. "Did you see that?" Dr. Kim said excitedly. The hatchling was stressed by all the strangers, but Jiho's voice and touch immediately calmed it. "That's a bonded response. A strong one." Commander Park ran his hand through his hair. "This is going to be complicated to explain to Earth Command. We're supposed to be professional researchers, not accidental dragon parents." "Sir," Taman said. "Permission to speak freely? Go ahead. Science is about observing what actually happens, not what we think should happen. This bond formed naturally. It's real. We should study it, understand it, and support it, not fight against it just because it's unexpected." Elder Miura smiled at Taman. "Wise words from one so young. I support this plan. We'll provide whatever resources and knowledge you need, but," she looked at Jiho seriously, "you must understand what you're agreeing to. Raising hatchlings is exhausting work. They need feeding every few hours. They need constant warmth. They'll cry in the night. They'll make messes. Your life will not be your own for the next several months at least." Jiho looked down at the 3 sleeping creatures on his chest. One of them had started snoring softly. A gentle rumbling sound. Another had its tail wrapped around his wrist. The smallest still had its head tucked under his chin. "I didn't ask for this," he said quietly. "I'm not special. I'm not brave. I'm just someone who was tired and let some cold babies sleep with him." He paused. "But looking at them now, I can't imagine saying no. What kind of person would I be if I rejected them after they chose me?" "A practical person," Commander Park said, "but not necessarily a good one." "Then I guess I'm choosing to be good over practical." Jiho looked up at Elder Mayora. "I'll do it. I'll take care of them. But I'm going to need a lot of help." "You'll have it," Taman promised. "I'll be here every step of the way." Dr. Kim nodded. "I'll adjust my schedule to provide supervision and medical care. We'll make this work." Elder Mayora placed her hand over her heart in a gesture of respect. "Then it is decided. Park Jiho, you are now the first human dragon guardian in over 1,000 years. We will prepare documents, establish protocols, and inform the Galactic Council." "This is historic." "Historic," Jiho repeated weakly. "Great, I always wanted to make history. I thought it would involve some important engineering innovation. Not baby dragons sleeping on me." The crowd began to disperse, though several people stayed to set up monitoring equipment and discuss care schedules. Taman helped arrange things while Jiho remained on the bed, afraid to move and disturb the hatchlings. "Do they have names?" Jiho asked suddenly. Elder Mayora looked surprised. "We don't usually name hatchlings until they choose their own names, once they learn to communicate telepathically. But you're their guardian. If you wish to call them something, that is your right." Jiho studied each hatchling carefully. "The smallest one, the one that likes to sleep under my chin. Can I call her Dari? It means moon. She glows silver when she sleeps." "Dari," Elder Mayora repeated. "It's beautiful. And the others?" "This one," Jiho touched the hatchling on his stomach, "is always reaching toward the lights. So I'll call him Hanul, sky. And this one," he looked at the one curled against his side, "has star-shaped markings on her wings. Bjal star." "Dari, Hanul, and Bjal," Taman said. "I like it. The moon, sky, and star. They fit together." Elder Miora's eyes were bright. "Those are good names. Strong names. They will serve them well." Over the next hour, they established a routine. Taman brought supplies from the nursery, specialized formula for feeding, heating pads in case the hatchlings got cold, and soft blankets that wouldn't irritate their scales. Dr. Kim set up a medical monitoring station in the corner of the room. Someone brought Jiho food since he couldn't get up to eat. Through it all, Silverwing remained at the viewing port, watching. Several times, Jiho caught her eye and felt a strange pressure in his mind. Not exactly thoughts, but feelings. Gratitude, approval, and something else, a warning maybe, or a promise. The message was clear. "Hurt my children and nothing in the universe will save you." "She likes you," Elder Mayora said, noticing the exchange. "Or at least she trusts you for now." "Don't break that trust." "I don't plan to," Jiho said sincerely. Finally, around mid-morning, Hanul woke up hungry. He made a crying sound that went right through Jiho's ears. Dari and Biol woke up too, adding their voices to the noise. Okay, Jiho said, trying to soothe them. "Food. Right. Taman, what do I do?" Taman handed him the specialized bottles filled with nutrient formula. "Support their heads just like this. They'll figure out the rest." It was messy and awkward. The formula got everywhere, including all over Jiho's shirt. Hanul kept trying to eat too fast and choking. Dari was too sleepy to eat properly and kept nodding off mid-meal. Biol was the only one who seemed to know what she was doing, but eventually all three had full bellies. They let out synchronized burps that made Jiho laugh despite his exhaustion. Then they promptly fell back asleep, this time sprawled across him in even more awkward positions. "This is my life now," Jiho said to no one in particular. "I'm a dragon parent." "Yes," Elder Mayora said, preparing to leave. "Yes, you are. And history will remember you for it." After she left, it was just Taman and Jiho and the three sleeping hatchlings. Jiho looked at Taman seriously. "Thank you for finding us. And for helping me. I don't think I could do this alone." "You won't have to," Taman promised. "We're in this together now." Outside the viewing port, Silverwing rumbled her approval. Somehow, Jiho had the feeling she understood every word, and that she was pleased with what she heard. The Kriz, the missing dragon hatchlings, were found, fast asleep on a human's chest. 2 weeks passed in a blur of feeding schedules, dirty blankets, and very little sleep. Jiho learned quickly that dragon hatchlings were demanding babies. They needed food every 3 hours, even through the night. They cried when they were cold, when they were lonely, when they were bored, and sometimes just because they felt like it. But they were also wonderful. Dari, the smallest, had a sweet personality. She liked to be held close and would snuggle against Jiho's neck whenever she could. Hanul was curious about everything, always trying to crawl away to explore despite not being coordinated enough yet. Bial was the calm one, content to watch the world with her big silver eyes. Taemin had moved a bed into Jiho's quarters as promised. He helped with the night feedings and taught Jiho everything he knew about dragon care. They developed an easy partnership, trading off duties without needing to discuss it. When one was exhausted, the other took over. "You're a natural at this," Taemin said one morning watching Jiho expertly feed all 3 hatchlings at once. "You'd never know you had no experience with babies." "I'm just doing what feels right," Jiho said. Dari had finished eating and was trying to climb up his chest to reach his shoulder. He adjusted his position to help her. "They tell me what they need. I just have to pay attention." Dr. Kim visited every day to check the hatchlings' health. Each time she seemed more amazed by their progress. They're thriving. Their growth rates are exceeding normal ranges. Their telepathic abilities are developing ahead of schedule. Whatever you're doing, it's working. But not everyone was happy about the situation. Some of the Theraquin delegates thought it was wrong for a human to raise their precious hatchlings. They sent complaints to the Galactic Council, demanding that traditional protocols be followed. Elder Mayora defended Jiho and the hatchlings publicly. "The bond is real and beneficial. To break it now would be cruel and harmful. My people need to remember that we once lived alongside other species. We were stronger for it." The station settled into a new normal. People got used to seeing Jiho walking the corridors with hatchlings clinging to him. Dari usually rode on his shoulder. Hanel preferred to be carried in a special sling across his chest. Bial liked to walk beside him on her own, though she wasn't very good at it yet and kept tripping over her own feet. One afternoon, Jiho brought the hatchlings to the observation deck so they could see their mother. Silverwing had moved her nesting area closer to the station. She was always nearby now, always watching. When Dari saw her mother through the viewing glass, she made excited chirping sounds and pressed her small snout against the transparent surface. Silverwing rumbled in response, a deep sound that vibrated through the entire deck. "They miss each other," Jiho said softly. "Maybe we should let them visit more often." "That's actually a good idea," Dr. Kim said. She had followed them to the observation deck. The hatchlings need to maintain their bond with their mother too. It doesn't have to be either or. Over the next few days, they experimented with letting Silverwing interact with the babies through the viewing port. She couldn't touch them because of the barrier, but she could see them, talk to them telepathically, and watch them play. The hatchling seemed happier after these visits, but Jiho noticed something strange. When Silverwing looked at him, he felt something in his mind. Not quite words, but impressions, images, feelings. It was getting stronger each time. "Is this normal?" he asked Taemin. "I think the mother dragon is talking to me." "In my head," Taemin looked excited. "Really? What does it feel like?" "Like someone is gently pushing thoughts at me. I get pictures sometimes. Her flying through space. The hatchlings when they were eggs. Me sleeping with them that first night." Jiho paused. "I think she's showing me memories." Dr. Kim ran some scans. "Your brain activity shows patterns consistent with receiving telepathic signals. This is extraordinary. Humans aren't supposed to be telepathically sensitive enough to communicate with dragons." "But he's bonded with her children," Elder Mayora said. She had come to observe this new development. The bond might be opening neural pathways that are normally dormant. This happened with the old guardian species too. "So I'm turning into a telepath?" Jiho asked, not sure if that was exciting or terrifying. "You're developing a limited telepathic connection specifically with this dragon family," Elder Mayora explained. "It's not the same as true telepathy. Think of it more like learning a new language, but one spoken with feelings instead of words." As the days passed, the connection grew stronger. Jiho started to understand what Silverwing wanted just by being near her. She would ask him to bring the hatchlings to the window at specific times. She would warn him when one of them wasn't feeling well before any symptoms showed. She even, in her own way, thanked him for taking care of her children. One night, Jiho woke up to find all 3 hatchlings crying. Not their normal crying, but a distress sound he'd never heard before. They were hot to the touch, their scales burning with fever. "Taemin, wake up," Jiho called out. "Something's wrong." Taemin jumped out of bed. One look at the hatchlings told him this was serious. He hit his communicator. Dr. Kim, emergency. The hatchlings are sick. Dr. Kim arrived within minutes, followed by a full medical team. They ran scanners over the babies, drew blood samples, checked their vital signs. All 3 hatchlings had high fevers and were struggling to breathe. It's a respiratory infection, Dr. Kim said, her face grave. Common in young dragons, but dangerous. We need to get them to medical bay immediately. They transported the hatchlings on special heated beds. Jiho ran alongside them, holding Dari's tiny claw because she wouldn't stop crying. In the medical bay, the doctors worked quickly, setting up breathing assistance and administering medication. But the hatchlings got worse instead of better. Their temperatures kept rising. Their breathing became more labored. The medicine wasn't working. I don't understand, Dr. Kim said, checking the readouts again. This should be helping. Why isn't it helping? Jiho watched Dari struggle to breathe. Her silver scales had turned dull gray. Her eyes were half closed. She reached toward him weakly, crying. He couldn't stand it anymore. Let me hold her. Jiho, we need to keep her under observation, please. Just for a minute. Dr. Kim hesitated, then nodded. Carefully. Jiho gently picked up Dari, being careful of all the tubes and wires connected to her. He held her against his chest right over his heart. She immediately snuggled into him, her crying quieting to soft whimpers. And then something amazing happened. Her fever started to drop. Her breathing became easier. The monitors showed her vital signs improving. What? Dr. Kim stared at the readouts. That's not possible. Do the same with the other 2, Elder Mayura said. She had been standing in the corner watching everything. Quickly. Taemin helped Jiho carefully arrange all 3 hatchlings against him. It was awkward with all the medical equipment, but they made it work. Within minutes, all 3 babies showed marked improvement. Their temperatures dropped. Their breathing steadied. Color returned to their scales. I don't believe what I'm seeing, one of the doctors said. Dr. Kim was scanning Jiho and the hatchlings together. The bond. It's physiological, not just psychological. When Jiho holds them, his presence regulates their stress hormones. His heartbeat synchronizes their heart rates. His breathing guides their breathing. He's not just comforting them. He's literally helping their bodies heal. This is exactly how it worked in the old days, Elder Mayura said. Guardian companions didn't just raise dragon young. They sustained them through illness and injury. The bond was survival itself. They kept the hatchlings in medical bay for observation, but they let Jiho hold them constantly. He sat in a special chair designed to support him while he carried all 3 babies. Taemin brought him food and water. Dr. Kim monitored everyone's vital signs. Through the station's viewing windows, Silverwing watched anxiously. Jiho felt her worry in his mind, a constant pressure. He tried to send thoughts back to her, reassuring her that the babies were getting better. He wasn't sure if she understood, but her agitation decreased slightly. By morning, the crisis had passed. The hatchlings were breathing normally. Their fevers had broken. They were tired and weak, but clearly on the mend. Dari opened her eyes and looked up at Jiho, making a soft questioning sound. You're okay now, Jiho told her gently. You scared me, little moon, but you're okay. She chirped happily and licked his chin with her small forked tongue. Dr. Kim approached with a serious expression. We need to talk about what happened here. The hatchlings almost died, but your presence saved them. This proves that the bond isn't just important. It's essential. If we had separated you from them like some people wanted, they might not have survived. So what does that mean? Jiho asked. It means we need to make this official, Elder Mayura said. We need to establish you as a true guardian, recognized by both my people and the Galactic Council. We need to ensure that no one can force you and the hatchlings apart. But there's something you should know, Dr. Kim added. This bond goes both ways. The hatchlings need you, but you need them too. The more time you spend with them, the more your biology adapts. The missing dragon hatchlings were found, fast asleep on a human's chest. 2 months after the medical crisis, Jiho's life had transformed completely. He was no longer just a maintenance engineer. He had become known across the galaxy as the human who bonded with dragons. News crews from dozens of worlds wanted interviews. Scientists wanted to study him. Politicians wanted to use his story for their own purposes, but Jiho just wanted to take care of his hatchlings. They were bigger now, each one about the size of a large dog. Dari had grown the most, though she was still the gentlest. Hanul was fearless and constantly getting into trouble. Biol had developed a wise, watchful personality. All 3 followed Jiho everywhere, and he rarely went anywhere without at least one of them. The station had adapted to their presence. Special doors were installed in Jiho's quarters to let the hatchlings come and go. A play area was built where they could practice flying, though they weren't very good at it yet. The cafeteria staff made special meals for them, though they mostly just wanted to eat whatever Jiho was eating. Taemin had become more than just a helper. He was Jiho's closest friend, someone who understood what this strange new life was like. They shared the duties of raising the hatchlings, celebrating small victories and weathering difficulties together. "Do you ever regret it?" Taemin asked one evening. They were watching the hatchlings play, wrestling with each other in the way young dragons do. "Giving up your old life for this?" Jiho thought about it. "Sometimes I miss the simplicity. Going to work, doing my job, going home. No one knowing my name. No responsibilities beyond fixing things." He paused. "But then Dari does something cute. Or Hanul makes me laugh, or Biol looks at me with those trusting eyes. And I know I wouldn't trade this for anything." "Good," Taemin said, "because things are about to get more complicated." He was right. The next day, Dr. Kim called them to her laboratory. She had been conducting research for months, studying the bond between Jiho and the hatchlings. Now she had something to share. "I've made a discovery," she said, pulling up complex genetic data on her screens. "Something that changes everything we thought we knew about humans and dragons." Elder Mayora was already there, along with several other Theraquin scientists. Commander Park stood in the corner looking like he expected trouble. "What did you find?" Jiho asked nervously. Dari sensed his tension and pressed against his leg. Dr. Kim took a breath. "I found that humans share a specific genetic marker with an extinct species from the Theraquin homeworld. A small mammalian creature called the Valara. They went extinct about 12,000 years ago in an ecological disaster. Many species went extinct then," Elder Mayora said. "It was a dark time for our world. But what does this have to do with humans?" "The Valara lived in symbiotic relationships with wild dragons," Dr. Kim continued. "They helped raise dragon young. In return, dragons protected them. It was one of the most successful interspecies partnerships ever documented. But when the Valara died out, dragons became increasingly isolated. Breeding success rates dropped. The species began its slow decline." Jiho stared at her. "Are you saying that humans are related to these Valara creatures?" "Not related, but similar. The genetic markers are too close to be coincidence. The pheromones you produce, the rhythm of your heartbeat, even the sound of your voice. All of these trigger instinctive recognition in dragons. You're not exactly like the Valara, but you're close enough that dragon hatchlings respond to you the same way they would have responded to them." One of the Theraquin scientists spoke up. "This is why the bond formed so quickly and so strongly. The hatchlings recognize something ancient in this human, something their species has been missing for thousands of years." Elder Mayora sat down slowly, as if her legs wouldn't support her anymore. "All this time we thought we were protecting our species by isolating ourselves. But we were actually hurting ourselves. We lost our companions, and without them our young struggled to thrive." "It explains so much," Dr. Kim said. "Why dragon breeding programs have had such low success rates. Why hatchlings raised in isolation often develop behavioral problems. Why your culture has so many stories about the old days when other species helped raise your young. You needed them. You still need them. But humans aren't from our world," Elder Mayora said. "How is it possible that a species from Earth could be so similar to one from Theraquin?" "Convergent evolution, maybe," Dr. Kim suggested. "Or something stranger. The galaxy is full of mysteries. Maybe life develops along certain patterns wherever it emerges. Maybe compatible species evolve on different worlds because the universe needs balance." She shrugged. "I don't have all the answers. I just know what the data shows." Commander Park stepped forward. "What does this mean politically? For Earth's relationship with the Theraquin people?" "It means everything changes," Elder Mayora said. She looked tired but also hopeful. "We've been struggling with extinction for centuries. We've tried everything. Better breeding facilities, advanced medical care, genetic interventions. Nothing worked as well as it should. But this," she gestured to Jiho and the hatchlings, "this is working. These 3 babies are healthier and developing faster than any hatchlings in recent memory." "So you want more humans to raise your young?" Jiho asked, "if they're willing. If the humans want to participate. This can't be forced on anyone. The bond has to be voluntary, natural." Elder Mayora looked at him seriously. "But yes, I think humans could save our species, and perhaps we could give humans something valuable in return. Partnership, friendship, access to dragon wisdom and abilities. Taman was grinning. This is incredible. This could change everything about how humans and Theraquin interact. It could bring our peoples closer together, or it could tear us apart, one of the Theraquin scientists said darkly. Many of my people will see this as proof that humans are trying to replace us, to take our children and make them loyal to Earth instead of our homeworld. Then we'll have to convince them otherwise, Elder Myora said firmly. We'll show them the data. We'll let them see how well these hatchlings are thriving. We'll prove that this is about partnership, not replacement. Over the next few weeks, the station became a center of intense political activity. Representatives from Earth arrived to discuss the implications. More Theraquin delegates came, some supportive, others hostile. The Galactic Council announced it would hold a formal hearing to determine whether human-dragon bonding should be allowed to continue or if it should be banned as a threat to Theraquin sovereignty. Jiho found himself at the center of everything, though he hated the attention. He just wanted to focus on the hatchlings, but he understood that his personal situation had become something much bigger. One night he couldn't sleep. He went to the observation deck with Dari sleeping in her usual spot on his shoulder. Silverwing was out there as always. Over the months he had learned to communicate with her more clearly. Not in words, but in feelings and images. He pressed his hand against the viewing glass. Silverwing moved closer until her enormous eye filled his vision. In his mind he felt her question. Are you afraid of what's coming? Jiho thought about it. Yes, he said aloud, knowing she could sense his thoughts. I'm afraid of losing them. I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid that people will use us for politics instead of caring about what's best for the hatchlings. Silverwing rumbled, and he felt her response. Trust yourself. You've already proven worthy. My children love you. I trust you. That is enough, is it though? What if the council decides to take them away? Then we fight, all of us, together. The next morning brought bad news. The Galactic Council had moved up the hearing date. It would happen in 3 days. Elder Myora looked worried when she told them. The opposition has gained strength, she explained. They're calling for immediate separation of the hatchlings from Jiho. They say the bond is unnatural and threatens our cultural identity. But the hatchlings are healthy, Taman protested. They're thriving. How can anyone look at them and say this is wrong? Fear doesn't always make sense, Elder Myora said. Change frightens people, and this is enormous change. That night disaster struck. Dari, who had been completely healthy during the day, suddenly collapsed during feeding time. Her breathing became shallow. Her scales lost their glow. She was burning with fever again. No, 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 Jiho said, gathering her into his arms. Not again. Please, not again. Dr. Kim and her team rushed to help. They ran every test, tried every medicine, but nothing worked. Dari's condition continued to worsen. By midnight, she was barely responsive. I don't understand, Dr. Kim said desperately. This is the same infection as before, but she's not responding to treatment. Even your presence isn't helping as much as it should. Jiho held Dari close, tears streaming down his face. Please fight, little moon. Please. I need you. In his mind, he felt Silverwing's distress. She was outside, crashing against the hull, trying to reach her daughter. Her telepathic cries of anguish filled the minds of everyone on the station. Hanul and Biol huddled close to their sister, whimpering. They knew something was very wrong. Dr. Kim checked the monitors again. Her face went pale. Her heart rate is dropping. I don't know how to stop this. Jiho pressed his forehead against Dari's small head.